And I had a stupid, idiot, random thought. I looked at that glass, and I wondered to myself, I wonder how they make that. And then the second thought was, I wonder if I could make that. So I turned off the TV, and I Googled how to make alcohol, and that's how the whole thing started. I'm John from Sandstone Distillery. We started this on a whim because I was bored one night watching TV. When we started making hooch, it was in a 5-gallon bucket. That was our fermenters. And we actually started off by cobbling together my wife's pots and pans. You would use vice grips and stuff to hold the lids down and create a seal and make distillation equipment. Well, that didn't work very well. Distilling equipment, brewing equipment is very, very expensive. And used equipment is on the market here and there, but all this equipment serves a function, and it needs to do a specific task. Big Pot Gabe. I got that thing. We've been in business for 6 months or less, and my wife, Jenny, thought I had lost my mind. I got a call from a friend of mine who was also a distiller in town, and he was really excited. He says, you know, there's this great, big, giant copper pot down in Chehalis, and they're gonna cut it up and scrap it. When you're a distiller, you get to be kind of a copper nerd. Anything made out of copper is really cool. It's such a work of art. I mean, when you get a chance to look at it closely, I mean, it's got all these hand hammer marks in it, and the way everything was, it was handmade way back in the 40s. It didn't have the technologies that we do nowadays. I look at a lot of used equipment, and I've never seen another one. This was one of those once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. If you didn't get it, you would never see one again. I go down talking to the guy that's got a torch in his hand. He's ready to start chopping it up. I asked him, would you rather save it? And he says, well, we tried, but the local museum down here in Chehalis is not very big. Besides, what would you do with it if you didn't put it in a museum? I mean, you know, who'd want it? And I says, well, think they'd sell it to me. You know, I said, what the hell do you want to do with it? I said, I'm going to make a bourbon still out of it. I mean, I was just really excited, like this little kid. And then he looks at me again and cocks his head and he goes, you know, that's a good idea. The manway that's on this thing is solid brass, and it weighs about 50 pounds. I mean, this thing is big and old and heavy, and it's just really, really cool looking. And stamped in that manway, it said Arthur Harris Company, Chicago, Illinois. Well, Google that stuff, you know, and pop up Arthur Harris Company. They're still in business today. And they've been in business since the 1870s in the same building. Well, I send pictures of the thing to info at Arthur Harris Company and ask a few questions. Do you have any history? Do you have any records about this thing? Left my phone number. And a couple, 3 days later, phone rings. I pick it up and I answer, you know, Sandstone Distillery, this is John. He says, well, this John that has that great big copper pot. I'm like, yeah, it is. And it was really funny because the next thing came over my phone was, holy crap! One of those is still around? I mean, this guy was so stoked and excited. He was the third generation working at that factory. His grandfather worked there, his father worked there, and now he worked there. And he was just super excited that it was being saved. So we go there, and sure enough, the old building is just the same as it was the last 100 and whatever years. There's this one other room we were heading for, and he looks at me and goes, hey, you want to see where Gabe was born? Because he knew we named it Gabriel and all that. He's like, yeah, let's go do that. So we went to this very back room, and I'm taking pictures of the rafters and of the skylights and all the old equipment that was still in it. Well, when we got all done, they gave me a catalog because they had 2 in their collection. And I was preserving the history of their company. And I'm flipping through my phone, trying to find the picture that I took. And the room is just the same as it was back then. In fact, even the skylights that's still sitting there, and there's all this stuff. And there was a chain hoist in the old picture in the catalog. And there's this chain hoist in the picture I took is still hanging there in the same place. It's just the coolest thing you ever saw. See, Gabe being a milk condensing machine, okay, that's what it was designed to do. And I thought it condensed mint down at the mint factory. And I thought, well, we're gonna make bourbon. So mint and bourbon, mint juleps, what a great story. This is gonna be the most awesome thing in the world. But my problem is I found out that before Callisons were in the mint business, they were in the cascara business. The slurry in there, instead of being condensed milk, it was condensed cascara slurry that would pour out and dry to a powder. And that powder made a pharmaceutical grade laxative. Yes, the Indians used to call it the shittum tree because that's what it made you do. And it works, it really works, it's organic. So here it was. Here I got this great big pot. It made a laxative. And what am I going to do? Well, one of two things is going to happen. We're either going to go broke, and if we do, then I can unbolt the top of it, that dome part, and have a hot tub. But if I do make it and we do succeed, I'm going to tell people it makes damn good shit. And that's what it does. Yes, indeed. You've heard of this DGS. You've heard of BSB bourbon. Well, DGS, and you'll know where it came from. What we're going to do is reverse the process. We're going to make 3,000 gallons of beer. Olympia beer recipe from Leopold Schmidt's journal is the same recipe that we're going to use to make the very first batch of whiskey that comes out of the big pot. Now, when we boil all that beer, the vapors that come off into that dome will be alcohol vapors. And the alcohol vapor will interact with the copper, and copper bonds with sulfurs, which are bad tasting. And also that big long piece, well, that spray comb is removed, and we'll have a return line coming back to the pot. So as it condenses on all that copper, the heavier molecules of alcohol will condense first, going back to the pot, where they will reheat, revaporize, and then recondense again. Every time you vaporize alcohol and condense it, that's a distillation. And it will do it over and over and over and over again. It will produce enough vapors that are refined enough through that distillation process that will come down where the wastegate was. That's where we're putting a condenser that will condense the alcohol vapor into a liquid, which will be a bourbon or a whiskey. We're getting very, very close to actually putting it together. It's been a 4-year project. I got that thing in 2015. And it's 2019. I would like to see it operational within a year of June, so by 2020. And it's gonna be the coolest. Saved from death. We saved him from death.